This is a topic I covered extensively in 2015 and 2016 regarding telescopes, and what we see through them is not what it appears. Moving from analog to digital, and let's take a look here at this most recent video by Samsung, and with this video, 23 million views in 2 months, and I find it very interesting during this commercial for the Galaxy S23 Ultra. And as we move forward, they show all different imagery and the camera being used, but what specifically caught my eye was what we see right here. And it's with this female looking through a telescope at the moon. And what you see here, when they pan over and they show this woman looking through the Samsung phone just mentioned, and just take a look here. As you see her zoom in at the moon, and they show the female again with the telescope looking at the moon, and again the female with the phone looking at the moon as well. And that gets into this. With Samsung and this news article regarding Samsung caught faking zoom photos of the moon, and here you see this individual placing a disc, just a white disc on their phone across the room, and using their Samsung phone, which I already demonstrated, zooming in at that particular white circle. That's all it is a white circle on the phone. And as you zoom in, the AI comes into play and displays the image of the moon. And obviously this has huge implications. People believing they're looking at something very real, and you're not getting what is basically sold to you. And that's a high quality phone that's taking high quality images when it's already prefabricated, basically pre-programmed in your phone. And like I mentioned earlier, the implications, you think with technology you'll be getting a better imagery of what's in the sky, the luminaries, but again, it's not what it's presented. And I truly believe they're doing this obviously on purpose. They don't want the normies to really grasp what's out there and what it's really all about, which I've covered in previous videos. And talking about previous videos, I'll play this one from 2016, breaking down Saturn. The comments underneath the video itself where people are amazed with the technology and how Saturn is so clear and vibrant. And people, again, are blown away. And they mentioned also it's so brilliant looking, but also it looks fake. And they have no idea what they're looking at is actually fake. Just like the so-called ball we live on. I'll play this clip with NASA employee Robert Simon basically stating how he created this image of the blue marble, and this really relates how it was the backdrop or background image on the iPhone. So this is the artificial world we're living in, the AI world, where they're distorting our reality in every which way. Supposedly Saturn, through a telescope, you don't see it shining. You don't see any stars in the back. More of the same. Now let's look at this. This is one channel showing Saturn through a C11 telescope. Of course, C11 is 311 for 33. Now let's take a look at this channel, different channel, and you get a different color Saturn. And it's not shining like you've seen in these images here. And why is that? And again, where are the stars in the background? Completely demonstrates how these pre-programmed digital telescopes. I hear about telescopes. Very important point I want to make. Yeah. There's a difference between analog telescopes and digital. There's information put in those digital telescopes so you see what they want you to see. Everything is within the firmament. People say, "Oh, I seen a planet through my telescope." What you're seeing is pre-programmed when you're to position that point to see what they're going to show you what you want. They want you to see. Look through an analog telescope. You're not going to see what it's going to be a blur.
I mean, good point bringing up telescopes.
This is what I'm talking about. Pre-programmed into these digital telescopes. And it looks fake because it is fake. Especially right here. Just take a look. But interesting enough, take a look at the comments. Found this pretty interesting. This person, Jason Humphrey, says here, I can't even think of words that describe how amazing this is. To see it like that almost makes it seem fake. Brilliant. Fake, yeah. This person here, the channel owner, says Saturn is beautiful and it looks indeed fake. Yeah, that's fake, alright. And right here, this person throws in as well. Neil deGrasse Tyson said he couldn't believe how fake it looks with your own eyes, but how it looks real because it's right there in front of you.
2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. And it had wide appeal too. For example, it ended up as the default background on the iPhone.
I didn't even know until I bought an iPhone and turned it on and kind of did a little happy dance.
Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
To us, the really cool thing was the data set. Up until that point, there was no realistic color map of the globe anywhere.
So the land layer here comes from
the Moderate Resolution Imaging Spectroradiometer aboard Terra.
And the tricky part here was the weather.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.